Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest, with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Welcome to the NatureBacked podcast. My name is Fiona Alston and we're coming live from Impact Day. I'm sitting here with Charles Ogilvie, who is the Executive Director of Ocean Energy Pathway. Thank you very much for joining me, Charlie. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Excited to be at this brilliant event.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. So, can you explain to us what is Ocean Energy Pathway?
So Ocean Energy Pathway, or OEP, is a not-for-profit organisation that helps governments who want to create an investable offshore wind sector, so offshore wind power sector, helps governments create the policies and regulations that they need to do that, but also works with civil society and businesses in those countries to make sure that they're getting the benefit of jobs, employment, and we're managing the transition within the ecosystem as well, and we're making sure that these are sustainable projects that work for ocean users and the ocean ecosystem as well as for the climate.
Okay, now you're based in the UK, but you're working with other countries, is that correct?
So I'm based in London, and we have a few members of staff in London, but the team is spread out all over the world. So I have a team in South Korea, in Japan, in India. We're working in Australia, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil.
Okay, now, when you're talking about working with countries all over the world, is there kind of sections of the world or countries of the world who are a little bit more forward thinking about this, adapting easier, or what's the general feeling you're getting?
So the offshore wind sector has grown up in Europe and in the North Sea. We have a very large amount of offshore wind generation. We've been doing it for 15, 20 years since the early projects in Denmark and the UK. So I would say it's a very mature sector. The US has just started to get going, and they've got projects underway at the moment in the US, big offshore wind projects. But there are a number of other countries that have a really good offshore wind resource. So there's great wind, right? It's fast, it's reliable, blows a lot of the time, and the sea is not too deep. And if you want to get to that tripling renewables target by 2030, let alone a net zero world in 2050, you need a whole lot more green power. And offshore wind, particularly in those markets, provides a really substantial chunk of green power that we need to unlock if we're going to be successful on that journey.
Okay, now, a lot of people would know more about on the land, how are we describing that? Onshore, okay. Onshore wind. Why should we be looking to the seas, and what do we need to do to start looking at the seas?
So there's some really good reasons to build offshore wind. First of all, the quality of the wind. So offshore, because there aren't mountains, trees, houses, the wind tends to be much more reliable. It sort of flows in a straight line more regularly and more predictably. So for example, an onshore wind farm in the UK might have what we call a capacity factor, so how much of the time it's actually generating, of 30 to 40%. Offshore, a similar turbine might achieve 60%. And that means that these go from being intermittent power projects that have to be balanced by the rest of the grid. The wind stops blowing, you have to turn up some gas power, you have to call some batteries online to balance the system. with offshore wind, you get this really much more reliable, predictable power. So that's the first reason. The second reason, because there's more wind and because it's not near population, you can build much bigger turbines. And so you can build turbines offshore that are twice the size of onshore turbines. And these are machines that are the size of the Eiffel Tower, spinning blades that are the wingspan of a 747. So these are extraordinary machines. But because they're offshore, they don't have the kind of visual impacts that you would get if you tried to build those turbines next to a community. So you have a much more political license. And finally, just a matter of space. We've got a lot of power to build, and we should absolutely carry on building onshore wind projects too. But as I said before, if we're going to hit those tripling targets, we need to go where there is readily available green power, and offshore wind is a fantastic opportunity to do that.
Okay, yes, actually, I had been speaking with somebody in Ireland lately who was saying, that when we were talking about renewable energies, they were always looking very inwardly, and I mean, it is an island at the end of the day, but there is one factor when we're talking about the sea. Well, there's lots of different factors, but one of the main thing is protecting the seas and the marine ecosystem. So what is it that you have to do that? And is there a balance that can be struck there? Because at the end of the day, we're going to have to do something to somebody's ecosystem, upset some kind of ecosystem in order to be forward thinking and get renewable energy somehow.
This is the key question, and something that we think about a lot at Ocean Energy Pathway. Many of our funders come from the conservation community, and we're really convinced that there is a route for this sector that helps to preserve and enhance ecosystems. That being said, undeniably, if you put billions of dollars of infrastructure into any ecosystem, however degraded that ecosystem is, you're going to have some kind of impact. So the most important thing is you're putting these projects in places where the impact is minimized. But we have seen, and we've got to remember that most of the world's oceans have been aggressively trawled and overfished, for decades. That a lot of these ecosystems, particularly ones that are close enough to shore for offshore wind, are very significantly degraded. And there is good evidence from the UK and from Northern Europe that where you put large offshore wind projects offshore, because you can't trawl within those projects, so you can't scrape nets and fishing gear along the bottom to throw up flatfish or scallops, actually you start seeing ecosystem restoration happening around those projects. I visited a wind farm down on the south coast, Rampion off Brighton, and this is a very degraded area of marine ecosystem, in the English Channel, and there's been a project there for over 10 years. It's created new fisheries, so fish stocks have come back. There is a sea bass fishery, a sustainable sea bass fishery now as a result of that wind farm protecting those fish habitat, creating new subsea habitats, and moreover just stopping the big fishing gear coming into those zones. Yeah. So I don't want to promise that this is as good as a fully marine protected area. As I say, this is a big piece of infrastructure that's coming into an ecosystem. But I think if we do this right and we put them in the right places, this can be a really important part actually of rehabilitating our ocean ecosystems, as well as a massive piece of the jigsaw puzzle in solving climate change.
So when you're looking at doing big projects like that, who are the stakeholders that are involved in the conversations then?
So marine spatial planning is a very big and tricky jigsaw puzzle, and the UK has done a lot of thinking about this over the years, because whilst we have a lot of ocean, it's very used. So the MOD cares about where wind farms are because it interferes with radar. We have other blue economy users such as fishermen, ferries, freight cargo operators. We have telecoms cables, we have subsea interconnectors and oil and gas connections and oil and gas platforms. There is a vast number of blue economy users already, and the offshore wind sector, as the newcomer, has had to justify its use of space. And I think coming last to the table has made that conversation particularly challenging in a busy ocean like the North Sea. And that is not to say you go to Brazil or you go to India where there is a lot more ocean. most of our blue economy is pretty packed, right? There aren't a lot of undiscovered oceans, and we probably wouldn't want to put wind farms there anyway, because the ecosystems would be intact and they would be a very long way from humanity. So you're absolutely right. This is a jigsaw puzzle of the blue economy. Moreover, the projects need to be near where demand is. So you can't put them too far away from cities and factories, otherwise the costs of transporting the power becomes prohibitive as well.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install. We can also send you samples fast and free.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need.
So the first room we're looking at is for...
Shop Blinds.com now and get up to 50% off with minimum purchase. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Yeah, when can we get to a stage, and will we be able to, say, we're talking about UK here, but also let's talk about Europe. When will Europe be able to be competitive with their prices then, compared to the rest of the world? Like, will we get to a stage where the renewable energy prices are competitive in Europe as they might be elsewhere in the world?
So I think renewable power is now significantly cheaper than fossil alternatives in most economies, including in Europe. The big challenge for ambitious areas like Europe and the UK is we are moving so fast that managing the grid, so balancing the energy system, is a first of a kind challenge, and every country's energy system is a bit different. So we will need to make significant investments and difficult decisions around grid, and that might be about where you put new pylons in order to connect some of these projects up. It might be about how quickly you move away from gas to electricity in certain parts of the country. That will have additional costs. Fundamentally, the technology now is cheaper than fossil, and the extent to which that's realizable across your economy is about how you plan and invest in changing the system. For some less developed countries where there are less tricky planning issues, or they're building grid infrastructure for the first time, and therefore communities welcome electrification and the opportunities that come with it. The costs to install that new technology is much lower, but fundamentally, as I say, the technologies now are cheaper than the fossil alternatives. So in theory, the faster we install this, the sooner we get to that destination where we have very cheap, very clean green power in abundance in our economies.
Okay, and let's just finish off by asking you, where do you see the future of blue energy, the whole blue transition, say?
So I'm really excited about the blue economy. I've done a lot of work in government on energy systems onshore and in sort of geopolitics. But the more you think about it, the more you realize that a lot of solutions to our climate lie offshore, and that's not just offshore wind. That's the fact that the next big challenge in sustainability and transitioning our economies to net zero lie in the hard to abate sectors, so in cement, in steel, in aluminium, in fertilizer. Yeah. And these are global commodities that move through the ocean, and therefore oceans, and particularly ports, are these linchpin sites where the transition is going to happen. And understanding the blue economy and its users, and understanding how they relate to ports and industry, I think is one of the most exciting questions in this whole space. We haven't got great cheap solutions yet for decarbonising shipping. There are huge opportunities for aquaculture, for shifting our protein consumption to more sustainable from a carbon perspective options, but in a way that doesn't impact ocean ecosystems. So I think the blue economy in the ocean is absolutely key to everything that we're talking about here. And I'm just really enjoying having shifted into this offshore wind role, just kind of coming up the learning curve and meeting some of those stakeholders for the first time.
Okay, so we're really just on the precipice of what can happen.
Absolutely, and the European solution to that will look different to the US solution, which will look very different to the solution in the Philippines or in Indonesia. And so we have to remember that this is not a cut and paste haste. This is a process of consultation and sharing best practice.
Okay, right. Well, thanks, Charlie. Thanks very much for coming on. And I have now remembered that this is the NatureBacked podcast. And the reason I was a little bit flustered and did forget it is because we actually had an electricity issue here, which thankfully the lads in the background managed to sort before we came back on. Okay, so I'm going to leave you now with a short break, and we will be back with some more brilliant guests in the future. Okay?
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means thousands of can't-miss deals just in time for summer.
The denim section is unreal.
Why do I rack? All the dresses.
I always find something amazing.
Plus, buy it online and pick it up in-store the same day for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
Welcome to the NatureBacked podcast. Today we are coming live from Impact Day. I have with me at the moment one of today's panelists, Christian Cui, who is the management board member from SD Energia, which is doing a green transition, which we're going to talk about, to NFIT Group. Hi, welcome. How are you doing?
Hello, happy to be here.
That's good. How's your day gone so far?
It's a beautiful event and really nice to be here for the several years in a row.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about the fact that 85 years the business has been involved in fossil fuels, and now we're going through this green transition, which we're hoping to define as definitely a green transition. I'm sure you're used to the skepticism. Tell me, first of all, where you're involved still in fossil fuels.
Yeah, indeed, Estonian Energy as a company is 85 years old. It has been our national treasure, and then kind of this special stone we have in the eastern part of Estonia has been enriched and processed for more than 100 years to get heat and electricity and oil out of that special stone we have. Now, of course, with all of this move to newer technologies, this natural kind of resource we have is considered as part of the fossil fuels and is not very popular anymore. So indeed we are on the path towards this better and greener electricity production, and also we are thinking quite a lot what else can we do with this oil, what else can we do with this very beautiful stone that we have, and how to actually continue kind of I don't want to say using, but enriching this what we have built in the eastern part of Estonia.
Okay, and what solutions have you come up with?
It's a long story.
We have time.
We have time. So of course, when we take electrical energy generation, then everybody has been done for the past decade or more wind installations onshore, offshore. We are also, I think today, the Baltic's biggest wind energy producer. A lot of solar has been deployed. I think a couple of years ago, statistics said that Estonia was third nation per capita in Europe when it comes to solar installations, which is actually crazy because, we have this weird latitude where we are living.
Yeah.
But I think it was just a moment, and everybody is catching up there. Then, of course, when the wind is not there, when the solar is not there, then everybody still wants to use the energy, electrical energy. I mean, then we are working on what to do then. So it's a lot of discussions and practical exercises to introduce the customer side flexibility of the energy consumption into the system. We are working on installing batteries in our grid, so doing those very huge lithium-based battery systems to compensate a little bit. And then we are heavily thinking what to do with the rest, because around 15% of the hours in a year there is nothing, no generation that can be considered green nowadays, whatever that word means. So definitely we are working on hydrogen-based solutions. We are working on some more futuristic technologies. We are working even on natural gas solutions and trying to think what is the most optimal for the nation, for the society, and how to put those formulas together, because this transition is very capital heavy, and we have invested already quite a lot. Our energy prices are skyrocketing because investments need to earn back, and still we are not done with this transition. And this is just the electricity part. So we have EVs, transition is happening in the electrical vehicle side. We have heating and cooling, transition is happening there. We have all this construction innovation, material innovation, which is happening in parallel. Then and then we are thinking how to kind of use those pyrolysis facilities which we have in the eastern part of Estonia, which are probably the biggest in the world.
Yeah.
As Heineken used to say, probably the best beer in the world. So we have probably the best facilities and biggest facilities in the world for pyrolysis. What to do there, how to transform them into we kind of like to say circular economy support units. So how to use old tires there, how to enrich the kind of feedstock with biomass, how to bring in the plastics into the formula, how to bring in maybe old wind generator blades into there to actually get the useful stuff out.
Yeah.
And reuse whatever is coming from the system.
Now, I want to talk about the fact earlier you said that, like your old solution, the oil, not so popular anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
So obviously, what we're wondering now, because you are going through a big change period, you would have been known as a company that was probably, let's call a spade, was very harmful to the environment. And now you want to transition into a green company that is not going to be so harmful to the environment. But where's that pressure coming from? Is that pressure coming from outside, or is that also pressure within the company? Because you are 85 years old, and sometimes it's very difficult to teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh yeah, old dogs, yeah.
Have you old dogs in the company?
Definitely we have old dogs, new dogs, everybody. So what I've been kind of seeing in the job market lately is that people actually feel that this energy transition is interesting, and they want to put their hands on it. The very smart people want to help with this transition, and this is what we say also to all of the very enthusiastic and maybe even sometimes fanatic people. Come work with us. Come to help to solve this puzzle. And this company, as you said, 85 years old. We have been in Estonia using this fossil fuel more than 100 years. Definitely we need smart people to work on that. And it is happening now. I think the force is both from inside and from outside due to legislation and to all of those movements happening in the world. What I can say definitely is that as a company we need to change. We want to change, but where there are definitely some areas which need still some reasoning, and we need very smart people for that.
Are you the type of company now that would actually take a hit in order to go through your green transition process, or are you still about profits?
So we are kind of government-owned, 100% obviously, and a lot of what we do depends on what Estonia and the politicians and government officials have agreed. And as a nation we have agreed that we will take this path. So it is happening.
Okay, so we still need the support of the public then.
Yeah.
So I just want to finish off by saying, so you're in charge of the R&D.
Yeah.
Looking to the future, what is the future of renewables, say, in Estonia and around the world?
Yeah, we had this beautiful panel topic, renewables, what we will leave for the grandchildren. So I think every day we need to think about that when we deploy the wind farms, when we do solar, when we kind of change something in the eastern part of Estonia, when we bring in the batteries, when we transmit the transportation either to electricity or based fuels or electricity and or hydrogen based fuels. So what we will leave behind. So what will happen in 10, 20, 30 years. So all of those technologies will definitely be replaced with something new. People are working constantly to find new ways to produce energy, to conserve energy. So I think we will see a lot of changes in the coming years. A lot is happening in the form of, let's say, this small innovations in a row, but people also expect some big breakthroughs when it comes to fundamental physics and how we kind of are able to take energy out of some processes we even don't know about yet. So it is still something we don't know. All we know is that it's all gonna be a big transformation journey for decades and decades to come. And whenever we do kind of changes, we need to consider that aspect.
Okay. If I was to ask you, what's your favorite renewable energy?
My favorite renewable energy is the energy that is there when I need it.
Okay. All right, that's a very good note to end on. And it's actually starting to get very loud in here, isn't it? I think people are getting very inspired around here. Okay, Christian, thank you so much for joining us on the NatureBacked podcast. I really appreciate you throwing yourself down into the seat there. And for everyone watching at home, please stay tuned because we will be back with more great guests.
Thank you for the invitation.
If you like the show, subscribe and leave a good rating on the podcast platform of your choice. It would mean a world to us.
Why is it that games make us feel so good or completely rage quit? These emotions we feel are mostly not an accident. People like me designed them. I'm Chris Cross, and this is Brain Arcade, a podcast all about the psychology of game design and why games hit us so hard. Each week, I bring on a new guest, designers, psychologists, storytellers, to break it all down with me. If you play, design, or just love games, follow now.
Electricast. Electricast.